To get started with Unreal Engine, we first need to download it. You can do this inside of the Epic Games launcher. You can get it off store.epicgames.com/download. Inside the Epic Games launcher, you want to head to Unreal Engine library, and to install the newest version, just click on the plus button. Select the desired version. 5.5.1 is fine for us, and hit install. For me, I already downloaded. To launch Unreal Engine, you can do this inside of the launcher, or you create a shortcut on your desktop by clicking on this little down arrow and create shortcut. Inside of Unreal Engine, it's going to look something like this. There are 6 different sections with templates you can choose from. For example, if you're into architecture, you can just use one of these templates to make design easier. For us, we're going to use games, and from here we're going to choose the blank template. Make sure to set the quality preset to maximum, and you can enable starter content if you want, if you need that. A project name, I'll choose master class, and then just hit create. On the first startup, it's going to take a while to load this in. Just give it a few minutes. So now that everything is loaded in, how do we navigate? You can navigate using the right mouse button to look around, and WASD to move the camera. You can increase the speed you're moving with by scrolling up or down and holding the right mouse button to make or to move faster. Now let's talk about the user interface of Unreal Engine. So this is essentially an overview over the user interface. We got the settings up here. Below that we have the mode selection, which allows us to select between different modes. The add button allows us to add objects into our scene. The play button to play the game. Inside of the viewport, we have different tools. The select, the move, the rotate, and the scale tool, and settings for the tools. On the right, we have the outliner. Basically, shows us everything that is inside of our game. The details panel tells us everything about the thing we have selected currently. For me, that is the player start right here, and we have the location, rotation, and the scale inside of the transform information we get inside of the details panel. Next to that, we have the content browser, which allows us to import things into our scene and gives us access to Fab. I'll cover that in a minute. Now, to learn how to use these tools, let's just import a cube into our scene. Find place actors, shapes, cube. Now I currently have the move tool selected, which allows me to move the cube on different axes. And next, the rotate tool, which again, same thing, allows me to rotate it in different ways. And the scale tool allows me to scale it like this. Now we have some settings for these different tools. For the move tool, we can select the snap sizes. Anything from 10,000 to 1. If I select 1 with very precise movement, now if I select like 100, make bigger steps. It snaps to a different grid. Let's put this back to 5. Same thing for the rotation tool. Can select different the degrees we want to rotate it with. For example, 30 degrees, which would be 30 at a time, like this. And same thing for the scale tool. We can select by how much we want to scale them. Very small to very big. This. Or like this. Now delete your cube by selecting it and pressing delete on your keyboard and close Unreal Engine. You can click don't save, because now we need to install some things we're going to need for our masterclass. Open up Epic Games again, go to library and scroll down to Fab library and search for Fab UE plugin. Then click install to engine. It's impossible for me, I already installed it, because this will give us access to a big library of assets. Then just start Unreal Engine again. Now back in Unreal Engine, go to File and click New Level. Select empty level and click Create. Now go to the landscape mode, which will basically generate a huge landscape. You can leave these settings on default or just copy mine and then click Create. Now that our landscape is created, go back to the selection mode, go to Window up here in the settings and select this light mixer. Then click Create Skylight, Create Atmospheric Light, Create Sky Atmosphere, Create Volumetric Clouds, and Create Height Fog. Now we have lights and clouds and a sky in our scene. Next, we need to find a texture for our landscape, because this is not what landscape normally looks like. So go to Fab, and when you just installed the Fab plugin, it might prompt you to log in. Just simply log in with your Epic Games account. And next, go to the search bar and search for Quixel. Then head to Creators and select Quixel as a creator. Why Quixel? Simply because they have the most high quality free assets I know, and most of them, or at least most of them, are free. Now go to the search bar and search for dry sand. Then go to the filters. On the price, look for free. And maybe select in this selection the materials and textures. Now select this dry sand texture right here, and I guess I'll take high quality and add it to your project. After everything is downloaded, go back to, you can close this window, go back to Unreal Engine, and now you see it created a few folders: fab, megascans, surfaces, dry sand, high quality. And now let's just select our landscape in the viewport. See it right here. Scroll down to landscape material and drag the material instance of the dry sand material into the landscape material, which will create a very high quality sand surface on our landscape. Now we see this, for sand it's a little too shiny. You see the reflections of the sun. Now go for that, to fix that, go to into your material instance. Then this window will pop up, and look for the ORM and set the minimum roughness to 1. Set the minimum roughness to 1, which will automatically set the maximum roughness to 1 too. And now we see less reflection on the surface of our landscape. And I also think that the sand is a little too bright. We can adjust that by lowering the number, base color, brightness. Now if you don't like that, simply put it back to 1 again and hit save. Now make sure to save our new level with the landscape too. Click on the save button right here, and then save level as. Give it a name, something like desert. Click save. Then our landscape and the settings to be applied to the landscape material are saved. Now let's talk about how to actually sculpt the landscape to create these hills in the background. Just go to landscape and then sculpt. Select the sculpt tool and set the brush size to the maximum, the tool strength to about 0.3, and the brush fall off to 1 to get a very smooth, to achieve some very smooth hills like this. If that's too much, you can erase them again with the erase tool, like this. plan is to just put some very gentle, some very gentle hills in the background of the landscape. Maybe a little lower tool strength, like this. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Something like this. From the ground, yeah. Maybe a little higher over here. Yep, now looks good. Now let's import the vehicle into our scene. Go back to selection mode. And then go to the link in the description. For this Porsche of CG Trader, it is completely free with a royalty free no AI license by Minerva 1. Simply free download, and then it will prompt you to wait 20 seconds. Do that and then download the Autodesk FBX, the .fbx file. 124 megabytes in size. After that's downloaded, you have it right here. Right click in the content browser, click new folder, give it a name, something like car, open it up, and drag in the FBX file. You can leave these as default. If something is different for you, you might want to change it to my settings. Then click import all. Now after everything is imported, we get a lot of error messages. Simply ignore them and close the window. Now in the car folder we've just created, there are now a lot of static meshes. These are basically objects you can drag into your scene, like our car. Now scroll to the bottom of the folder and select the last static mesh you can see, which would be this one. Hold shift and right click it, then scroll up to the first static mesh in the list. Again hold shift, select it, and now all the static meshes are selected. Then drag it into our scene. Nice. Now that we have all the parts of the vehicle of our car selected, let's try to find a nice spot to place it. Maybe like right here. Drag it over here. Like this. I think this looks pretty good. Maybe we want to make it a little smaller. Just go to scale and click this little lock symbol and then make it smaller, maybe something like 0.8. Too small. 0.9 looks good. Now if you've accidentally unselected your car, you can do the same thing as in the content browser. Simply look for the first static mesh in the outliner with the name of your car or object. Select it, scroll down, hold shift and select the last object, and then you have the whole car selected and you can move it around. Like this. Now this car looks pretty bad, and to texture it I originally wanted to use the Automotive Materials pack by Epic Games, but unfortunately it isn't available for the current version of Unreal Engine. It's only available for 5.1 and below. What you're probably using the versions above. So I had to convert it. Automotive Materials UE5 convert. You can get this converted version with the link in the description, but still all the credit goes to Epic Games. To download it, simply click on the link and click download. Download anyway. And wait for it to finish. Now, after everything is downloaded, simply extract the files from the zip file. You can do this using a tool like WinRAR or simply the Windows built-in file extractor. Now after that is done, we have this folder with all the materials and stuff. Now we need to get it into our project. Just minimize that window and in your content browser choose any folder and click Show in Explorer. Then this will pop up, and then you need to go from that folder. This should be your project name, whatever you named the project when we created it, and you need to choose this content folder. Contains all the things we have right here, fab and starter content and the deserts, what we've created. Now we need to drag this folder from our downloads over here, copy it, and then close this. We should now have the automotive materials inside our project. Now we need to give this car some texture. So open up the automotive materials, go to materials, exterior, and choose car paint. Now for this one I think I'm going to choose a black or gray paint. Now if you select the static mesh you want to color, select it, and then you'll see down here the materials tab, which currently is this yellow metal, but we'll change this to the black car paint by dragging it onto this, and now we see we have black car paint, or maybe gray, very similar. Anyways, I think I'm going to choose gray. Now you need to drag the gray color onto everything which right now has yellow, the yellow color. Now for this portion, I think it's good to select the primary and secondary color. For our primary color, I already chose gray, and I think for the secondary, something like this would look pretty good. Yeah, maybe. We'll see how this looks at the end. The next step would be these things in gray, and the material already suggests black metal, so we want to go back to our exterior folder and look for metal, and here we have a bunch of different metal textures, and we're just gonna see what looks good. Maybe this painted metal, this bump. Okay. So I'm thinking I'm going to choose this metal painted material. Now for the tires, we need a rubber texture. So we now get to go back to exterior, and we need to scroll down to rubber, and then we'll look what looks best. Maybe like rough rubber texture, or this tire texture. I actually think that the tire material fits perfect, so I'm going to put this onto this one too. Now, a problem with our 3D model is that the tires on this side are for some reason broken. So we need to change them. Press delete, and this one too. And I'm just going to hold Control and select these two, then Control C and Control V to duplicate them, and I'll just put them onto the other side like this. I think this looks pretty good. Now for these, I'm going to choose a shiny metal texture, something like this. Maybe. I think this would be good. Let's choose this for these two. Same for these. Maybe something like this metal steel texture. This. I think this looks pretty good. So let's apply this to the other materials too. Here and over here. Now, for this part, it suggests yellow metal. Now, I think the close to that would be this frosted gold look, or maybe this gold material. I think this looks pretty good. So let's apply this to these two. Now, a problem with the 3D model we're using right now is that it has no interior, which means we can't just apply the normal glass texture right here, the windshield. So if you apply that, yeah, that looks weird. So I prefer using the painted or the radial metal we already used for the tires right here. Just to give it the look, even though it has no actual interior. Next step would be the headlights. So let's just adjust the grid to position them better. 500. Drag them out. Now they're over here, and now we can apply the materials to the parts covered by the glass. For example, these headlights, we can just go back to our exterior folder and choose the lights. And here we have the lamp white, and just apply this to this and to this. Now we already see some reflections on the car paint, and here it suggests black metal shiny. Now I think the closest to that is the chrome, or this chrome metal, or maybe the glossy plastic. I think this looks better. Let's apply the plastic texture to these. Again, plastic, glossy, and headlights. Lights and white. Now for this again, okay, we need the headlights and some black metal. Just do this, painted metal. I think now everything but for the headlights is colored, and we can put our covers back on, but first we need to apply the glass texture to them. I think for these clear would be good. Preparing shaders. Yeah, let's try this. Maybe. Actually, I think this looks pretty good. Now, because we don't have any texture for them, I would remove the license plate here and right here, and also the logo. And now the last thing is the exhaust. And for this one I would just use a chrome texture like this, or maybe this. Okay, I think I'm going to stick with the metal frosted reflective, as this gives the best look. Oh, tire is misplaced right here. Now this is our final product, and I think this looks pretty good, just like on the thumbnail. Now we need to add grass just like in the thumbnail. So just go to Fab, search for Quixel, then click Creators, Quixel, and search for Wild Grass. Select free for the price and only 3D models, and then select this wild grass right here. I recommend downloading it in the highest quality, and then add to project. Wait for the download to finish. Now close Quixel again, and then we have this folder with our grass, the static meshes. Now go to up here, select foliage mode, and then select, for example, this one and this one, and deselect static meshes in the filters. Now select these two, and now we need to adjust some settings, because what the foliage tool does is basically it allows us to paint this grass all over our landscape like this. Now go to the erase tool and erase that again. Now we need to adjust some settings. For density I would choose around 50, and for the scale everything from 0.5 to 1. I don't think we have to change anything right here. And now let's try again. go to paint and paint. I think in the thumbnail the grass was a little more dense, so let's turn this up to about 100 again. Erase it and try again. I think now that this now looks pretty good from the density, because we're going to import some more grass static meshes later on. So go to Fab again, search for Quixel, Graders, Quixel, and now look for dry grass in the 3D models. Choose this one right here. Again, I recommend high quality. Select that and add to project. Close close Fab again, and now import this, whatever you like. I prefer these two. Import them, and because they're smaller than the other two we imported, I recommend turning up the density for these. I think maybe something like double. For the scale, I think anything from 1.2 to 0.5 is possible. Now let's just try again. Select paint and paint the grass. So I personally think it's a little too dense now. So let's turn this back down again. Like 50. Erase this and try again. I think this looks pretty good. Again, similar to what we've seen on the thumbnail, but I think I would increase the density for these a little more, like 5. Erase and then paint again. Now this looks pretty good. But let's just try increasing the size and the minimum size and decreasing this to 50 again. And for these, I think I'm going to put the maximum size to about 0.8 for both 0.8 and maybe 0.5, like this. Paint again. Now still the grass is still very tall. Too much, still too much, so I guess I'll turn it to 0.6 and 0.3 for this. Oh, for both, of course. Zero point 0.3, no. To 0.6. Erase and paint. Now I think this looks pretty good. If we increase the size of the car again, so let's just do this. Go into selection mode and select the car like this, shift, click, and put this value back to 1. Now let's import these little rock formations we saw in the thumbnail in the background. Again, go to Fab, Pixel, Creators, Pixel, and look for Desert Western 3D models and the free. We will limit us to the free 3D models. Now let's just pick some like maybe this medium quality, add to project, and maybe this with the free license is fine for the tutorial. Import it, and last but not least, this rock formation. Now back in Unreal Engine, we need to import these 3D models into our foliage editor. So just drag them in there. Go back to 3D, choose the next one, drag it in there, and same for the last one. Now for these I'm going to set the density, select all these, the density to 3 and the scale about 0.5 to 0.7 and the Z offset to -10, -10. Exactly. Now for the foliage, right here, simply choose these settings. For these two, just choose density of 100 and scale from 0.5 to about 0.9. And for the smaller ones, a density of 150 and a scale from 0.3 to about 2. Now if we try to paint this, I think this looks pretty good. We might have to move some things out of the way. Maybe the grass in the front right here. A little more over there. This. Yeah, this looks good. It's looking good. And now we need to raise the grass under the vehicle, because it looks kind of stupid, you know, grass growing inside of a car. So let's just turn down the brush size, something like this, and erase the models, the grass models inside of the car. And maybe select this one and move it a little over to the right here. This. And now I think this looks pretty good. So let's get to the final touches. I would definitely adjust the angle of the sun. So just go back to selection. Look for the skylight right there. Now for the directional light, and use Control L to rotate it. No, the rotate tool, not Control L. Rotate tool to rotate it something like this. I think this looks pretty good. The sun kind of coming more from the front, shine on the vehicle. And then for the background, I will adjust the exponential height fog to the maximum, like this, or maybe even, okay, this is too much, 0.1 to maybe something like 0.1 or 0.05, like this. Yeah. And decreasing the height fall off a little. I think this looks pretty good. Now for the background, we might want to add some grass too. So let's just go to foliage again and deselect these and this one. So we have just these 3 selected, and increase the brush size and just paint them along here over the hills. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good for the final product. Now, if you want to learn how to render your landscapes or what we've just created in this tutorial and have it look like the image on screen right now, feel free to check out my Gumroad course. The link is down in the description. It's currently 30% off, and I'll teach you everything you need to know about rendering your landscapes and whatever you've created in Unreal Engine with the settings. Right now on screen, you see what it would look like, what the render would look like with the settings from my Gumroad course. Yeah, so a quick shout out to Moorish for the Unreal Engine logo I just mentioned.